Hi there, and welcome to another edition of Bustanet. Well, you're back here with me on the Torino Diaries, and we have a second leg match with Milan coming up in the Italian Cup. And today's show is slightly different. We're going to look at different things before I begin. And I like to finish one season with 10 episodes because I want to play the game and I have lots of things to do, and I need to make sure that I get other stuff completed that is personal to me and very important to me in other regards as well. But I don't want to forget Football Manager. So I make sure that my shows get out, and sometimes they get out too early, and I'm sorry about that. Back here, today's show is gonna be a bit of highlights, and of course, we're gonna look at the game between Torino and Milan a bit later in full as I go through the whole match. First up, we're gonna take a look at certain things in the game, like for example, what is it about certain roles that I like so much, and I'm gonna also talk about how would you choose a player, and I'm gonna answer some of the questions that people have posted on various channels. So I hope you enjoy today's show. I never thought I'd enjoy a Coppa Italia match as much as I did this semi-final leg with AC Milan. The system we were playing against was a narrow diamond. It's a two-leg match. Our first leg was away, and I decided immediately to put in Sanchez, Mino, and Pucciarelli. Sanchez, Mino, as we all know, has 14 for tackling, and Pucciarelli, well, he's leading the league in assists, and up front, Belotti is leading the league in goals. What I needed to do was to lock down my midfield, so I put in Flamini, Benassi, and Priema, all three attackless. One of the things I did after I think it was about the 15th minute, was to turn our friend Antonio Bellotti into a defensive forward. And there's something about the way he plays as a defensive forward that is sweet. Okay, for me, the highlight of this game wasn't so much anything else, but watch what Bellotti is doing. Bellotti is defending. He's a defensive forward who came all the way back to throw himself into a challenge. He was busting a gut to help us defend. Now that is sweet. When you know how to play a defensive forward, that was for me the reason why I enjoyed this 2-2 draw so much. Okay, so we took a 2-1 lead. I was just staring at my defensive forward throughout the whole game, and I didn't even notice when Milan decided they were 2-1 down and they decided to go all out attack in the last 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, wow, I've got a defensive forward who tracks all the way back to do a challenge inside the penalty box. I was like, there's potential. I've got ideas now that I can use for this guy. And that was like sweet. And we should have beaten Milan easily by a few more goals in this match. In the Milan match, as far as my formation was concerned, I was using flat two in midfield. No flip flopping. Okay, what I mean by flip flopping is if you turn this guy into attack, this guy into support, this guy into support, and this guy into attack, you're basically gonna see one guy charging down the flanks, one guy holding and supporting, and then he's waiting for the overlapping guy to come here. This fullback, on the other hand, may not overlap. This guy is on support. He might drop down to support other players. So he might overlap, but you don't know. It's gonna be a different dynamic in attack. However, the problem I had was here. This guy wasn't attacking the space. So what do I do? Yeah, Milan. That was the match when I realized maybe there might be something wrong. Unfortunately, I was too stubborn. Against Palermo, it's like home. I thought I could win 0-0 shit. Porto, I thought I could win 1-1 shit. So against Fiorentina away from home, I decided, okay, it's time for me. Things are not going very well. What am I gonna do? Let's do the flip flop. I know it's gonna work. So it did. Yeah. Flip flop, attack, support, attack, support. This guy's on attack, controls the space. It worked beautifully. And then same thing as Napoli against Udinese. Well, I rested half my team because I've got the semi-final leg 2 coming up, and I definitely want to go as far as I can in the cup competitions or any competition for that matter because I want money. Yeah, what's the point if I can't make money? So that was the goal. I just want to make money. So I got Milan coming, got Roma coming, and of course, this is like some kind of a Benfica in the quarterfinal, leg 1 at home. We have to win this, or at least get as far. We were not even expected to go past the group stages, but we're in the we're playing in the quarterfinals. I'm so happy. Let's see how far this dream can go. So there's a league title chase that I've fallen behind. Now I'm 8 points behind Juve. It was as close as one, but I'm fighting on too many flanks with too thin a team. I mean, in terms of quality. So I'm gonna okay. So before we play this game, or before I go further into the show, I'm gonna clear up some myths. The first myth that I hear and people keep telling me this myth is, should I? The first question I get, I, before we go any further, I'm gonna deal with some questions that I've been getting on various forums, and so before I go any further, I'm gonna answer some questions that I've been getting across different channels. The first question I get is, what do you do? I know I I get several questions. I've I've gotten several questions, and I haven't. I've gotten several questions. One of the questions that I received is, how do you change the system midway? Or I don't think you recommend. So, I've I've gotten some questions on the. So one of the questions I received assumes that I don't like changing systems or changing tactics in a match, and this is far from the truth. I will change the tactic. I may go from a 4-1-2-2-1 in a match, and then I will switch to this, a 4-1-4-1. Why would I do that? There are gonna be times when I want to become a bit more defensive. I don't do this all the time. I mean, you've seen some of these games that I play. I don't even change the tactic. It's because the dynamics of changing a tactic in a game, there are certain things that you have to consider. One is, if you were to go from a system like this to a system like this, the biggest question you need to ask yourself is, your players, can they actually play the roles that they need to be playing in? Because as you know, if I play Defiant, these guys are goal scorers. If I play a 4-1-4-1, these guys are holding players. So bench strategy comes into play. You knowing your player attributes comes into play. What about going from the Defiant into this system? I've done that before as well. I set up whenever I set up a tactic, I make sure that my players are trained for the roles that they're going to be playing in, so that if I need to swap things around, I can move them here. Like I can put Sanchez, Mino, I can, I can have three red stars. I don't really care. I just make sure that they have either. So when you want to switch like from such a different system, like a 4-1-2-2-1, and you want to go to a 4-3-1-2, what do you do? Do you use the same players? Sometimes you don't. You need to go to a bench strategy. Okay. One of the questions I get on the forums, one of the questions that I keep getting is, one of the questions I recently got assumed I don't like to change tactics. Actually, that's far from the truth. I do sometimes change tactics in long-term saves. If I'm like an LLM side, okay, and I've gotten a one goal lead and I want to hold that one goal lead, why don't I go into a 4-1-4-1? I will, if I have to. But or I might even go to a 4-3-1-2 if I wanted to break down a team that's really stubborn in the middle, or they really have packed that defense so tightly that I can't get through. So I want to launch everything at them, and that's when I look at a 4-3-1-2 and I go, okay, I'll put this on attack, this guy on attack, this guy's on support, and yeah. But the thing is, if you want to do something like that, you have to have a very solid bench strategy. You need to have the players that can come in and change the game. B, you need to know whether those players can actually play those roles. It's not simply a matter of just taking the same players and dumping them into the system. It's not going to work like that. So what I like to recommend is, have complementary systems. Like, I think that the 4-1-2-2-1 and the 4-1-4-1 are complementary systems. Why? Your system doesn't need to change very much, does it? I mean, look at the shape of your system. A 4-1-2-2-1 and a 4-1-4-1. The only difference is it's more defensive in outlook without the ball, because this guy's going to come down here and this guy's going to come down here, and then I go click save and I'll try it out. And of course, in this particular case, I did flip-flop. So here I would just go for this guy on support and this guy on attack, and I'll try this out. Yeah, of course, being a 4-1-4-1 and having him as a poacher is not really a ideal situation, because then I would rather have him as support. And then you would think about things like, why are you playing this system? Are you playing to defend, hold down, and lead? Then you're gonna look at your shape. Are you better off just playing structured? Would you just want to play structured because structured only commit this guy and this guy? The rest of your team will be coming back to defend, or you committing this guy, and this guy to attack. So what do you want to do? You have to try the system out on your own team with your own players. You can't download a tactic and assume it'll work with your team. And you can't download a system and assume it'll work with your team. The whole goal of these videos is to help you understand what's possible with the instructions that you have. Which brings me to the second question. Someone asked a question about roles and about what a player can do and how they would shape. I got another question about roles. How do you choose your roles? Roles and player roles. The second question I got was roles, developing your players, and how you go about choosing your players for the roles that you want them to play. It's a very simple question, but it's a very complicated answer because it all depends on the league you're in and the level of football that you're playing. If I was playing in LLM, I would strip these into the basics like pace, acceleration, and maybe passing for a playmaker. For a holding midfielder, I'll probably go for concentration, tackling, definitely some pace because I don't want him to be slow, or acceleration, stamina. I've seen a lot of guys go out there and they've got these teams, right? And they tell me, I want to use this guy as a poacher. Then I'm looking at his attributes and I'm going like, why would you want to use this guy as a poacher? He may have like good goal scoring skills, but that's about it, man. That's it. He's got 70, maybe he's got 12 for goal scoring. I've taken 9 for goal scoring in LLM, and I hear like 12 off the ball, some amazing off the ball. And I mean, I want this guy more than I want that guy with higher finishing. They go like, why would you want to pick a guy with high off the ball? They go like, this guy's going to find space. That guy is only going to be able to score, but then what that assumes that he's going to be in a goal scoring opportunity all the time. I'd rather have this guy who's got a bit more pace and a bit more stamina. He's going to last the game at least. I don't have to change him. So these are the things that you want to consider. So it's not just a simple matter of finding the perfect goal scorer. It's about finding a player that fits into your style of play, into your team. That's what you need to address. I'm going to do something different today's show. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to make sure that I don't lose my tactics. So this is the define system that's already on Fluid. So I know it's on version 3. So let me just save this and call this define final. Alright, I don't want to create a copy. I don't want to modify this. I don't do anything. So it's there, define final. And I'm going to save the other one, which is the 4312, which is also Fluid, and save this and call it the final version of this. You always do that before you decide you want to change your tactics. So here I have my Leicester system, which is accomplished. So I will save this as final too. I'm not even sure if this is final. From this system, I'm going to load up Defiant Final here. The copy of Defiant is also Fluid. This is Fluid and this is Fluid. Naturally, the system is going to go accomplish once I do this. So I don't mess with my tactics. I don't screw things up. So save. I'll call this 4141. Okay, it's just some random name I'll give it. And this is the system I'm going to be using for the next match. It all came from chats on Twitter and stuff. This is going to be the system. I've taken my 4141 Defiant and just changed things a bit. Here, I'm going to put him on support and maintain the FlipFlop. But here, you have to understand, there's no real point calling him a poacher because he's got nothing much to poach because he's on his own. I'm going to have this guy attacking, this guy attacking, this guy support, this guy attack. So this is my system. It's going to be a fluid system because I want it to be compact going up. if it was gonna be a counter-attacking system, then I would probably go structured and just leave these guys on attack. Being on fluid, I will probably the team will be a lot more compact going up, but I can only stay on control and attacking for that with my team. So now I'm gonna just and ask my ass man to choose the appropriate players for this match, and then fill out my subs bench with players who could be playing the game. Oh, one other change I have to make is bring in on Avila. And then on the flank, I can have Moscati, but Moscati is a better tackler than Alejandro. So that's why he's there. Okay, continue. Continue. This is a defensive holdout against Milan because we really held them to a 2-all draw away from home. But I'm not actually defensive, am I? So Milan have come at me with a narrow diamond. I'm looking at my shouts now. Okay, I'm going to play out a defense and work ball into box. Another option I have is hit early crosses so I can get them deep to my players. And I'm going to leave every other shout alone. I'm not going to touch any of those shouts. Okay, so let's give me a team talk. Now, people ask me, what do I do for team talks? Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, it's always assertive. Come on, Les, show me what you can do to keep our run going. That's about it. I don't do, my team talks aren't complicated. There's no, trust me, just give it to your ass man if you have doubts. Just make sure there's motivation and man management on top. So here we go. Game's off. And let's see how my team does with my flip-flop strategy. Call this flip-flop. I love it. So we got a narrow Milan diamond. I've got to look out for my middle. I've got to look out for the players who want to attack as well to make sure that they do well enough up front. It's basically the 4-1-2-2-1 but flipped. It's meant to frustrate them by creating two banks of 4, and then have the option of the counter attack from deep because I've got hit early crosses. But I'm just looking at how we're doing in terms of numbers at the moment. 6.8, 7.0, that's not bad. 6.9, 7.0, that's not bad at all. 6.0 for a system that they've never used. Okay, not bad. We have played well so far. There's still room for improvement. Milan is supposed to win this game, according to all the pundits. Andy Gray, Gary Neville, they all reckon Milan should win. We're just gonna come out here and just completely upset the odds. Manuel Pucciarelli is not having a good game, so we're gonna make a pause. It was just a gamble trying to see whether he can play in that position, but apparently he's not that good at that position. So we'll bring in Daniel Baselli. Belotti is not having a good game. He's having a shocking game, 6.10. But I'm out here. Maybe it's a role thing. Let's try and see whether he plays better as a F9 now. Why not make him go even deeper? The F9 was going to go even deeper now on support. So literally, you could call this a strikerless system because there's not going to be any striker sitting in the box waiting for shots to come. Danilo Avila to Ghazi. Avila again to Ghazi. Baselli out wide to Avila. It's an early cross. Drops. And you see this Bruno Perez out wide. Tracking back just now to get. Actually, he didn't run into the ball immediately. He was being defensive, so that's kind of cool. Avila again. He's going to hit an early cross if he wants to. He checks back to Mino. Mino early cross and Baselli has scored. Oh, you beauties. First time out with 4-1-4-1. Against a Milan side that's supposed to whack our asses. Come on, Torino. Come on. Oh, and he's a substitute. Baselli was brought on as a substitute. I've never used this 4-1-4-1 before. I created it as we were watching the game. I mean, as you joined in, actually. It's the first time. And I've never made it before. And I'm just taking a 4-1-2-2-1 that works for me and just change the role slightly. So Belotti is now at 6.5. I would expect them to come down the flanks. Abate has been turned into an attacking player, and so has Antonelli. So I expect them both to come down the flanks. But, I'm not going to change things around because we're playing quite well. I'm going to make one change too. Benassi will come off because we want to save his legs. But I don't have another defensive midfielder to bring in his place. So, sorry, Benassi, you'll have to play. Oh, here we go. Milan with the last ditch attack. Nigel de Jong. They've crossed the ball, but our defense is held out really well. Pelotti lays it off of Moscati. Moscati has a chance to push through Benazzi. Benazzi is off. He's been brought down in the box. Come on, ref. Oh, you've not given us a penalty, have you? But it's full time. And there you have it. Torino are through to the Italian Cup final. After beating Milan at home, playing a defensive system. That was a control system actually. But it wasn't defensive, but I set it up to be a defensive system. You took my 4-1-2-2-1 and played it at control and set it up in such a way that it would frustrate. So basically, these were my shouts. That's all. I only had 2 shouts. But why did I go fluid? Because fluid makes me compact, makes me hard to break down. And why did I go flip-flop? Because if I go flip-flop, I have alternate attacking patterns created on the pitch. Mistake I made was I put in this guy Pucciarelli. He didn't do so well. But I need to play another game to find out whether it's because it was Pucciarelli on attack and a DLF on support. Maybe they were not holding hands, taking too long to meet in the middle and cross the bridge of love. But once I took him off and put in Baselli and got this guy to be an F9, as you can see, an F9 actually comes down deeper. So the F9 came down even deeper. So maybe the bridge of love was finally built and they could actually meet in the middle and exchange some love notes. So our next game was going to be a really important match against Roma at home prior to our Benfica Champions League match. And this turned out to be a goal fest for the 4-1-4-1. It was an incredibly exciting match for me to watch. We started off the match, same system as the last match, which only 2 shouts, but we started on attacking, and we were absolutely fantastic within the first 2 minutes. Both our goals were just sweet. There wasn't very much time for me to revel in the goals. It was inside the first 6 minutes. Sanchez Mina from a free kick to Bruno Perez, cuts into Alejandro, finds Benassi, and Benassi just rockets the ball in. Remember, Benassi is playing a support. Roma actually managed to pull one back, and both their goals from this match were largely a comedy of errors from my defenders. So I wasn't too happy about it. Pontus Jansson, the captain, making some mistakes at the back. Then I changed back to control. We finished the first half 2-1. I went inside, told them to assertively, get a grip on the game, boys. You're playing like shit. And then we started stringing together some beautiful goals. Here you can see the patient build-up from the players, Alejandro to Belotti. But look out on how they move the ball around to the other flank. Sanchez Mino will now drop in across, finding Belotti inside the box. The F9, who was one of the creators of the goal, finishing off the move. This is one of the nicer goals. Look at the overlapping fullback on the right. Moscati cutting in, drops across to Sanchez Mino to score from there. And I don't have overlap here in this setup at all. It's just that the system allows for the overlap. I did choose hit early cross. I wanted early crosses actually. I didn't want overlapping fullbacks to be playing, but the overlapping fullbacks came into play quite easily. So it's pretty cool, this game. I love the goals. We scored 3 goals before they went down to 10 men, and then scored 2 more after they went down to 10 men. So that was fun. 5-2 win against Roma put us in a good position, and the league gave me some confidence with the 4-1-4-1, and we went on to knock Benfica out of the Champions League, leaving us now with an away match with Milan. And then the deciding match for us, we are 6 points behind Juve. We really hope Juve are going to drop 3 points somewhere, because we have a good chance of beating them at home. I've got a heavy fixture list. I've got Milan. I just played the Champions League. I've got Milan, and then in a few days' time, I've got Juve as well. So we are making sure that our players get rest before and after every match. Well, we managed to sneak past Milan with a 1-0 win. They missed the penalty, thank goodness. We're still in the hunt, but we still have 6 points to catch up on Juventus, and there's only 5 matches left in the league. I doubt if we're going to win the title, but we have certainly given it a fight. Next season, yes, it'll be a lot better. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of the Torino Diaries on here on Busternet. We have done something different with the 4141, and I was hoping that it would be just an experiment, but it turns out I actually like the system a lot. So I'm going to keep sticking to it and maybe build around it for next season, which means that if I can build a 4141, I probably will start looking at other systems as well, like the 4411 and the 4231. For now, we are preparing for a huge match against Juventus, which will be in the next show. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. You can always drop me a note here on the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, find me on Twitter at BusterNet, or ask your questions away on addicted2fm.com or any other channel that you can find me on. I hope to catch you guys again soon. Bye-bye.